Hello, welcome back to my channel. You're watching What Helen Reads and I'm Helen, and today I'm going to be picking my TBR for the month of March. Now, this still hasn't gotten old. I absolutely love picking my TBRs from my TBR jars and the cards that I treated myself to at Christmas. So without further ado, I'm going to first of all use this jar, which hopefully by now is familiar to you if you watch some of my other TBR videos. And this one is a jar that said so many books, so little time. And in here what I tend to do is I put in books that have been recommended to me by people watching my channel or who follow me on Instagram, and then basically I put those on little strips of paper, turn them into stars and pop them into the jar. So if you've got a book that you want to recommend to me, there is a book recommendation form in the description box down below, and basically what I will do is take a look at it. If it's a book that I haven't read before and I'm interested in reading it, I will absolutely write it down, pop it in this jar, and it could be picked out in an upcoming TBR video. So as usual, I am going to shake the jar, tip some out and pick a coloured star. Just put some of those back there, and today I have picked out a green star. Well, that's interesting because it's actually a book that I've recently read. So I must have popped this in the jar before Christmas and then went on to read this book. So it was actually Dom by S.G. Tilley, which was recommended by Vanessa5641. So Vanessa, the good news is I have read that book already. In fact, it was one of my favourite mafia reads of 2023, so you can go back and listen to my review for that in that particular video. But it does mean that I get to pick another one out of the jar, so I'm going to tip them out and let me pick a different star. This time I've picked a yellow star, so let's see if we can get this one open. Okay, so this is an interesting one. It's not a book I've read before or a author that I've read before, and it's Gorgeous Monster by Ferrell, and it was recommended by Sakura Blossom 94, and apparently this one is a mafia age gap romance, so I don't know if that is actually going to focus on that strip, but as normal, if it doesn't focus, then I will take a photo and put it in the top corner so you can see that I definitely picked that one out. So Gorgeous Monster is an age gap mafia romance. It's book one in the Machete Mafia Romance series, and the blurb says, I should have known better than to make a deal with a monster. When my ex-boyfriend puts a hit out on me, there's only one man I can run to for protection, Christian Marchetti, the head of the Machete Mafia family, my best friend's father, my last resort. But Christian's protection doesn't come for free. What he wants might cost me my life. He's the mafia king and I'm his sacrifice, and now I must become his wife. So it's also a relatively short book at 290 pages, which I also appreciate because it's sometimes nice to have a quicker one to read and get through. So I am really happy with that. Like I say, I love mafia romances, and that is one that I've not read before, and it's an author I've not read before either, so happy to pick that one up. And then the next little TBR jar, and this is one that I got from Jen from the Book Refuge in one of her quarterly book boxes, which I subscribed to on her Patreon. And in here is basically some of my favourite booktubers and their favourite books of 2023. I went through and picked some ones that really appealed to me from what they described, and also ones that I hadn't already read. So this is quite a small jar, so it's hard to pick them out, but I'm going to go for a green star and pick this one here. Amazing. So this one is Unfurl by Elodie Hart, and it was recommended by Oh Hey It's McKay. It was one of her top reads of 2023. So Unfurl is book one of the Alchemy series. It's a hot age gap romance, and the blurb says, first of all, for Belle, when you've been told your whole life that something is sinful, you have two options. Avoid it like the plague, like it has the power to destroy all that is good and pure, or become as fixated upon it as Eve was upon that apple. I'm sick of the push-pull of terror and temptation. It's tearing me apart. I just want a bite of the apple. More than a bite, I want to devour it, have its juices spill from my lips, and by apple, I, of course, mean sex. And then Rafe. My new neighbour is the kind of beautiful that could bring a man to his knees, but she's 22, 14 years younger than me. That's too young. I vowed to stay away until she comes to me for help. It seems she has something to dispose of, her chastity, and it seems I have something she wants. The club I run for discerning adults, more specifically the programme we've created for women just like Belle, a programme that will transform her from innocent to damned, unfurl the parts of her she's denied until now. It seems I may not be the only one falling to my knees after all. God help us both. So I've been really interested in this one. I know a couple of people have given it a good reviews, so I'm really excited to pick that one up as well. Okay, so now I am going to be picking from the prompt cards that I've got. So first of all, it's this set here, and I'm going to give them a good shuffle. Okay, and so I'm going to pick one from here, and it says, read a book that's first in a series. Okay, so I've just been through my wish list and specifically looking at my Mafia wish list, and one of the books that stood out to me right away was When She Unravels by Gabrielle Sands, and this is book 1 in the Fallen series. So this is a dark Mafia romance. I've seen a lot of people read this series and really enjoy it, so it's been on my TBR, and so I'm going to be picking that one up for the prompt, read a book that's first in the series. And the blurb on this one says, he's the most powerful man in Ibiza and he'll do anything to make me his. I've been raised to be the perfect Mafia wife, but when my marriage turns into a horrific nightmare, I have no choice but to leave everything behind and start a new life. I find myself alone in Ibiza, a place that swallows innocent girls like me alive. I'm robbed the day I arrive, left with nothing but a few euros and the clothes on my back. My desperation leads me right to Damiano de Rossi. He rules over this island with an iron fist, and beneath his strikingly handsome face lies a wicked darkness. I ask him for a job. He gives me far more than that. Degradation, jealousy, and toe-curling lust. When my resistance to him is all but gone, a secret is revealed, and we fall apart like a house of cards. I know what I have to do. Run. And then another prompt then from my other set of prompt cards, my TBR cards here. Just give this a quick shuffle. And spread them out a little bit, and I'll pick this one here. And the prompt is, choose a book whose author's surname begins with an L. There we go. Right, that was a little bit difficult. I had to scroll for a while, but actually then I realised that I had Sophie Lark on my TBR. Now, I'd started her Underworld series, and I usually like to read these books in order, but I kind of got stuck after book 4, and I didn't particularly fancy book 5. I know when she originally wrote that series, she later reordered them, and I think some of the books at the tail end of that series are now some of the first books she wrote. So I think what I'm actually going to do is jump to her Brutal Birthright series, which I know a lot of people really love, and has been on my TBR for ages. Like I say, I was waiting to get through Underworld, but I think I'm just going to jump to this. So the first book in the series that I haven't read is Brutal Prince, and it's an enemies to lovers Mafia romance. The blurb for this one is a match made in hell. The Griffiths and the Gallows have been battling for control of Chicago's underworld for generations. Their bitter rivalry reignites when Ada, the youngest and wildest Gallows sibling, crashes a party at the Griffin mansion, accidentally setting fire to the library. To stave off all-out war, her father arranges a marriage with Callum Griffin, eldest son and heir. Cold, ambitious and brutal, Callum is determined to tame his headstrong bride. Ada is more than capable of giving as good as she gets, starting with poisoning Callum on their wedding night. In their struggle for dominance, who will break first? Okay, so I've gone through my TBR jar and also my prompt cards. So next up, it's any new releases that will be coming out in the month of March, or any arcs that I'm going to be picking up. So one of the books on my TBR for the month of February was a book called Captivated by Rebecca Gannon, and she's actually moved the release date. So it was originally scheduled to be the 11th of February, and now it's been moved to the 12th of March. So I'm just going to move that forward and read that. Hopefully, if it does come out and it doesn't get moved again, then hopefully I will get to that in March. This one will actually be book 6 in the Cafano Crime Family series. I've been following this series for a while. It's not the best Mafia romance series I've ever read, but they're usually fast and quick and enjoyable reads. Rebecca Gannon's got a really easy writing style, and the heroes are usually quite sweet, and the mafia world that we're living in isn't as harsh or as dark as some of the worlds that we can go to. So if you want to know more about that one, then you can check out my TBR for last month. But basically, like I say, I'm just bringing that forward into March, and hopefully it will come out on the 12th as planned. Then also on the 25th of March, we're expecting The Homewrecker to come out by Sara Cate, and this is book 2 in the Good Brothers series. So this is one of the new series that Sara Cate has written. So the blurb says, I've been faithful long enough. I never claimed to be a good man, but I've always done what was expected of me. Find a nice girl, get married, have children. That was my duty as a good Christian man. And everything was going as planned when I met Briar. Beautiful, charismatic and sexy. But marriage is hard, and after 7 years I feel like I'm failing. Then a figure from my past enters the picture. Dean Sheridan is cocky and charming. When this 25-year-old needs a place to stay, I should turn him away, especially after I notice the spark between him and my wife. But I don't. When I pressure him about his relationship with Briar, he does the last thing I expect. He dares me. He thinks he can take what's mine. And if it's a challenge he wants, it's a challenge he'll get. What starts as a game becomes so much more. Between them, between us. This isn't how normal couples behave. The games we're playing are dangerous, and the roles we're playing are far more. For God help me, I can't seem to stop. What we're doing is wrong, but it feels so right, and before long I don't recognise the good husband I used to be. Just as a shout out as well, Neva Altaj is bringing out her latest in the Perfectly Imperfect series on the 28th of March, Darkest Sins, but that will appear in my TBR for April, just because it's so close to the end of the month and I don't think I'll fit it in before the end of March, so I'm going to move that to April. Another book that's coming out in April on the 30th is Not a Trace by Liliana Carlisle, and that is part 2 of a duet. So basically I will also read that particular book in April, but as a result I'm going to be reading part 1 in March, just so that I'm ready for when part 2 comes out. I really like Liliana Carlisle's writing. She tends to write a megaverse, and I really like basically her worlds and kind of the world building that she's done. Her books are also usually relatively short, and so this part 1 of this duet, Not a Trace part 1, is only 214 pages, so hopefully another quick one for me to get through in the month of March. So this one is kind of a whodunit, a kind of a suspenseful romance, and it is a polyamorous relationship as well. The blurb for this one says, my best friend is missing and 3 alpha detectives are my only hope. 1 minute I'm running a macaroon shop and nursing a broken heart, and the next minute I'm holding search parties and raising reward money, but no amount of baked goods can bring her back. The Alpha Investigative Bureau is my last resort. 3 handsome detectives that are too busy to deal with one little Omega's troubles. They're strong, brilliant, chaotic, and everything I could secretly hope for in our pack. I'll do everything I can to convince them to help me, including bribing them with the best cookies around. And if I end up with a new pack because of it, well, I won't complain. Then I am expecting to get 2 arcs in the month of March. One of them I am very nervous about. I've signed up to the art team. I don't know if I'll get it. Hopefully I will, and if I do, then I'll definitely be reading it very early in March, and I'll probably end up doing a video blog for this one as well. Either way, even if I don't get onto the ARC team, the book itself comes out on the 12th of March, and so I'll pick it up then and give it a read. The book that I'm talking about is Hills of Shivers and Shadow by Pam Godwin, and this is part 1 of the Frozen Fate series. Now it's going to be a very chunky book at 712 pages. I'm also very nervous because I believe it's a very dark, very intense read as well, but I am very intrigued to read it. So the blurb says, abducted and taken to a remote cabin in Alaska, Frankie finds herself at the mercy of 4 feral men, each with his own dark secrets and twisted desires. With nowhere to run, she must rely on her wits to survive the harsh winter trapped with them. As she delves into their mysterious past, she uncovers an insidious evil that feeds on loyalty and uses love as a weapon. Nothing is as it seems. In this desolate world where the monsters are as beautiful as they are cruel, trust is elusive. They torment her, protect her, and keep her in the dark. But to have any chance of escape, they must stand together or fall prey to the evil in the hills of Shivers and Shadows. So I don't know about you, but I've just got goosebumps just even reading that, and I'm sure that it will be a wild ride. And then another arc that I am hoping to get soon is a complete wild card. This is not a book that was on my radar at all, and an author that I haven't read before either, but the author actually reached out to me on Instagram and asked me if I'd be interested in an ARC copy of her latest book that's coming out on the 30th of March, and it looked very intriguing, so I agreed to give it a try. So this one is called Malevolent by Lainey Delaroque. It's a dark white shoes romance, and it's book 1 of the Deviants of Onyx Grove series. The blurb on this one says, "My name is Jade Hadley and I'm back in Onyx Grove, the crime-ridden city I once called home. Today I start work at Onyx Entertainment, a company that hides many hideous secrets. I'm here to expose them all and destroy it from the inside. I'm here to lay claim on the whole Onyx Grove. Not that the Warwick family will let me. When I start work for Hunter Warwick, Onyx Entertainment's marketing director, he has no idea who I really am. Neither does his brother Alex, the CEO, or their trusted friend Leo, who is some sort of shadow leader. The three of them will soon learn what it means to be Jade Hadley's enemy. They will try to stop me, but I'm not one to back down." Yeah, so I thought that sounded really interesting, and I'm excited to give that book a try and try out a new author as well. Okay, so if I've done my sums right, that makes 9 books in total that I'll be reading in the month of March. I'm really looking forward to those and seeing how I get on with them. So as always, thank you so much for watching. So as a reminder, if you want to recommend a book to me, then there is a book recommendation form in the description box down below, and any books that I haven't read before or look interesting to me, I will basically write on a bit of paper and stick them in my TBR jar for a chance to pull them out next time. So thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you want to see more content from me, and I'll see you next time. Bye. With his 25-year-old, oh, that's the way it must be if I'm going to take his place someday. Oh. Reading the wrong bloody one, aren't I? That's the other one. I was like, that's very familiar. It's going to be difficult, isn't it? My desperation leads me right to Damiano. My desperation leads me right to Damiano. I'm not going to be able to say his name, am I? It's the prop cards. Right, for reals this time, for reals. I'm going to pick one from here. How am I supposed to get into these stars? It's almost so fiddly. It's actually much harder to undo them than it was to make them in the first place, because I can't actually remember which bit was the last bit I tucked in. So, as usual,